Gunnery Sergeant, Mr. Brent Durrough. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, buddy. Good to see you.
So I wanted to have Master Guns on to talk about the Veterans Treatment Court, something very near and dear to my heart in Ellis County. And he is the one leading the way on this thing right now. And he's the first. He started this with the help of Judge Wallace, started this from ground zero with nothing and made it work. Meeting you at a church, talking about what you're going to do next, to seeing you show up at this thing as leading this, it's a very Master Guns thing to do there.
Yeah, right.
Definitely a very Master Guns thing to do. So tell me, I want to know a little bit about you, and then we'll kind of get into the court.
Man, 30 years in the Marine Corps. I got out and did something that wasn't very exciting, and it bored me to death. It was actually a decent job. It was good work, good pay, but it wasn't fulfilling. So, that type of stuff, you run out of gas pretty quick doing that. So I felt like I needed to do something that I felt was contributing to the fabric of society in some way. I started looking at things at the county, and I just happened to find this. I was not in line for this, and it was kind of a last minute deal, and then it just kind of fell in my lap, and praise God. I mean, it's been the second best job in the world I could ever have.
Yeah, I mean, I remember talking to you about it, and you trying to find your way in there. Master Guns is telling me, he's looking for direction. He's looking. It was kind of different to see that, but seeing him get into this, the Veterans Treatment Court, it was something that I really wanted. I bugged a lot of people that were working on it already about getting this started, getting going, and I have no idea exactly what it took to get. I knew that there's grant writing, there's a bunch of stuff. So tell me, how's it been to start this, and how did it start off?
Yeah, so there was a tremendous amount of people that were doing everything they could and knew to do to get this off the ground. As far back as I think the earliest email traffic that I've seen printed and put in binders was in 2016. As a matter of fact, I was shredding some stuff today and saw an email from one of the attorneys that's part of our team, Chad Hughes, that he had sent back in, I think it was April of 2016. And I just kind of chuckled. But a lot of folks, man, Teresa Peel was, I don't know if you know Teresa, but she was really leading the charge administratively out in the community, gathering information, putting it together. I still have a binder in my office from her that I refer back to. And, I mean, fantastic. She's an attorney in the area, but she doesn't. I don't think she's practicing right now, but she's very well connected, a big veteran heart, and she got all that information. She even put it on a thumb drive. Like, I have everything that she did on a thumb drive, accessible whenever I needed a document, whatever the case may be. But there was a ton of folks. You were one of them, and you won't talk about that much, but you were. And there was a lot more, because a lot of people think about the program and they think about me, and they think about Judge Wallace. But there's so many more people, man. Just, it is crazy how many people were involved and behind this for years before it actually caught fire and took off.
Tell me.
And right now, this, or actually last week on the 16th, marked my 2-year anniversary as running the Veterans Treatment Court.
Wow, it's been 2 years already.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, and we were one person at that point, and now it's 3.
I remember talking to the commissioner's court, going up there and talking to them directly about, why this is needed, why this program was needed for the county. And, I remember talking with Ann Montgomery, who was DA at the time, and having Judge Wallace on there, and both, all of us talking on the show. It was supposed to be a crime update, and we start talking about this veterans court, and my jaw dropped, because I had no idea this was a thing, you know. And it did talk about some of the, can you talk about some of the processes that, without getting too weed deep, but I mean, is the state funding this? Is it all county? How does this thing come together?
Yeah, so since day one, we've been fully funded by the Texas Veterans Commission, and they don't use tax dollars to do it. They have the the veteran specific lottery tickets that you buy, that's where the funding comes from. And that funding across the state of Texas, when people buy those tickets, that money goes back to the Texas Veterans Commission. And then the Texas Veterans Commission pushes that money out every year to folks that apply for the grants that they, so you can get up to $400,000 is the largest grant that you can ask for. And that's what we asked for 2027. So we're still trying to grow the program, get bigger, get more funding for veterans in the community here in Ellis County. But that's where the money comes from. So, not to say that people will be like, I don't want my tax dollars going to that, because the majority of people do. Ellis County is extremely veteran friendly everywhere you turn. Like, if you need something for the veteran community, there's no way that you could spend an hour asking and not get at least one yes. It's very veteran friendly here. So the folks are there. You just got to go out and kick the trees every once in a while, and you'll get the funding that you need. But the Texas Veterans Commission, man, they fund these things, not just Veterans Treatment Course, but so many other programs for veterans across the state. I think last year the total amount of money they spent was close to $40 million in grants across the state, and this year it'll be even bigger.
And we started off, or the court started off at a small. Tell me about the size when you came into it. What size was the court? How many vets did we have in it? How many slots did we have available? What was that like at the beginning compared to the growth?
Yeah. So when we first started out, we had to get 15 veterans in the program a year to validate the money that they had given us. And at that point, our funding was at $110,000. So you had to get at least 15 veterans into and through the program to kind of validate having that kind of money thrown our way. And we did that. We exceeded that. We hit that number in 5 months. So that tells you that the need is there, right? So moving forward from that grant, because that one took us into our second year also, we just had to say we want to renew, and they didn't make us jump through all the same hoops, because grant writing, let me just tell you, is its own animal. It's crazy. That was the second year. And then the third year, we requested $360,000, and we got that. So that's what we're operating off of right now. And that's what afforded me the opportunity to bring on Haley as our court coordinator, Haley Valley, and our case manager is Deanne Jones. So that allowed me to hire 2 more people and simultaneously fund the various things that we need for our veterans that are in the program.
Are you still at 15?
No. So now we have to have 45.
And you're getting there. I mean, if you haven't gotten there already, you're getting there.
Absolutely. So we're over 25 right now, total, because some of them carried over. But we have 16 in the program right now. We've graduated 12 so far.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to see how it's grown and going. And I've been doing these political interviews, and I have been bringing up to all the judge candidates and anybody running for the county. Hey, just want to know how you feel about the Veterans Court. It's been all positive all the way around. You are right. I mean, this community really embraces veterans, and I'm grateful. I want you guys to know I am so thankful. I will never feel worthy for the love that you give us. I mean, never. But I am grateful that you do. Thank you. There are some people that may have said, I may have heard it once or twice, but that was like maybe what the beginning. Is this a slap on the wrist for a vet that does a bad thing?
No way. Ask them. I tell you what, ask the veterans that are in the program, because I think probably at least one a week tries to quit. And I mean, they have the option to quit. Like they can drop out of the program. We don't encourage that, of course. And then, if they do try to quit, they have to have a conversation with me, and then I'm usually able to remotivate them in some capacity. So we get them back, back online with just a little bit of recalibration, and then they're pretty focused after that for the most part. We do have some that just won't comply. We've had to remove 3 from the program, and I hate to do that, but our program has teeth in it. So you're either complying or you're not. There's no gray area. So we are a little bit probably more compassionate towards certain things in the initial phases of our program, because they're overcoming some demons, and we expect there to be some problems as they're doing that. But we're not going to just let you continue to do those types of things. You have to show that you're willing to work towards improving. And if you don't, you got to go. I mean, there's no way around that, because you're taking a spot that somebody else wants. And if you don't want it bad enough to fight for it, then we'll show you the door. But yeah, as far as the things that they have to do while they're in the program, it's everything that every other person in Ellis County has to do on probation, with about 100 other things layered on top of it, because we're on them constantly. We're calling them constantly. We're doing, alcohol tests. Some of them have to wear devices that test their alcohol 24/7. Some of them have to just show up to the probation office and do the testing there. But yeah, there's way more checks and balances in our program, as most would expect. This isn't the military, but it's military run. It's very regimented, and it should be. And I think a lot of them initially don't love that, but they come back around to that because that was a very important time in their life. And that structure is important to us as veterans. We appreciate that type of stuff. We want to know what you expect of us. And that way we can either meet or beat the expectation.
And I've seen that. I've seen at the beginning kind of standoffish, kind of,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
like what is this? And one thing that I heard that really stuck with me was one of the participants had a choice to go up to Fort Worth and do this, and really loved how close knit we were and how much we loved on them and tried to help them, that they decided to stay here instead of transfer to the Fort Worth one. That really symbolized who we are as a community and how we do how you guys do the court, how you run that court, from Judge Wallace to
Absolutely.
you to we cared. The mentors themselves weren't too, how does that work with mentors for people who may not know?
Yeah, so our mentorship program is not, a lot of people, when you hear about the mentorship program, I think they feel like it's something that could possibly be micromanaged. It is not. Our mentorship program, we assign mentors. We get volunteer mentors that sign up of their own free will. And all that we ask is that they do it for at least a year, because everybody in our program will probably be in the program for just about a year. Now, you can get done a little bit faster, but most don't. Some do, but it's not much faster. So we ask the mentors to sign up for a year and stick it out. And sometimes they do, and most of the time they do. Some of them have to travel because a lot of them are still intertwined in the military community, and some of them end up traveling, leaving, all kinds of stuff. But we just adjust. I have two folks that are, I guess, our mentor coordinators. Terry Green, who's a retired senior chief, and Chris Wall, who was in the Army, sergeant. I think I may be wrong there, but they oversee the mentorship program now, and that's new. That hasn't been happening except for the past few months. So they're kind of weaving themselves into that fabric and figuring it out as we go. But yeah, our mentors, they're a relationship for folks in the program. And if they're struggling with something, they got to have somebody they can bounce it off of. That's not me or, Haley or Deanne or Caitlin or anybody that's in the core team of the program. So there's, they can tell them things. It's non-retribution. They can tell them things that we're never going to know about. And that's what we want. We don't want to know everything that they're struggling with. That's our mentors can help navigate that stuff with them. And it builds that relationship. So we don't get involved. I tell the mentors, as if something happens that I need to know about in like a mandated reporter type situation, then we need to know. If there's, a concern for life or something like that. Because our veterans are dealing with things, man. They're dealing with problems. They're dealing with alcohol addiction, drug addiction, whatever the case may be, because each person's different. But everybody, not just the veterans in this program and not just veterans in general, everybody's dealing with something. Nobody out there is dealing with nothing. It just doesn't happen that way. Right. So, they're dealing with stuff, and we want them to be able to confide those things in their mentors, and the mentors be able to say, hey, all right, here's what I would do, or here's what I've done, because they're pulling from their life experience. And our mentors, when we look at mentors, we look at somebody that's been in the military, have to have been in the military to be a mentor, but they've gotten out and they've led a successful life on the business side, on the life side. Just, they've gotten out and they've transitioned, and it's not easy. We're not looking for somebody that comes out and they're, Fortune 500. We want people that have come out of the military and applied themselves in the community and done a good job of doing so, because that's what we want to reflect onto our veterans that are struggling. That image of, what, I didn't know your story before I met you, before you became my mentor. But now that I know your story, I see in you what I can accomplish also. and it gives them hope, and it gives them something to really work towards. So it's a fantastic program, man.
No, it is. And that is one of the most wonderful things that I love about this mentor thing is I've had two, and they were so different. They were my brothers in arms, but they were like night and day.
Yeah.
And the thing is that with them is that they see me and I talk to them, and I went through one heck of a ride, I went through very dark time when I came back, and I needed a lot of help. And the line is not that big between me and them.
Yeah.
It could have went south very often, and it didn't, through the grace of God, only through the grace of God that it didn't.
Yeah.
But I'm only here because of the grace of God and help from other people. So when I talk to them, and some of them are really deep in that tunnel.
Yeah.
Some of them are just right. Everything is right as rain, and this was just a one-off event. But it's an opportunity to be able to talk to them when you've been through that tunnel, to be able to be, I'm with you, dude. I'm at your six.
Yeah, you can relate.
I'm there with you, man. And I don't have all the answers, but I'm with you. You're not alone in this. Tell me.
But collectively, we probably do. Somebody does. One of your fellow mentors, one of your folks on the core team, somebody within our group probably has the solution or has been through it, walked that mile, whatever. But even if we don't, we're still all willing to help you get there together.
And you guys have done far and beyond. For some veterans, cases are rough. Just want to say, some of these cases are rough. Some are Vietnam vets, or very old, lots of health conditions, drug dependency.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the gambit of things that you deal with.
Yeah.
What services do these veterans get through the court? What is available to them?
Everything they need. So when they first come in, the first thing we have to do is do an actual assessment. And that's done through our behavioral health office. So Caitlin and Veronica are in that office. Caitlin Wilkinson is the director of behavioral health for the county. So she's in charge of the assessment piece of this if they're not service connected through the VA. If they are, that's Beth Sneer's lane. Both of them are fantastic. So no matter which way they end up going, through the civilian side or the VA side, those two ladies are just phenomenal when it comes to figuring out exactly what our folks need and aligning them to those services, whether it be through the VA or outside of the VA. But they get those assessments done, and that tells us, and they have to be honest in the assessment, but they have to be connected in a behavioral health type way to just be in our programs. It's not like we're guessing that you have a problem. We've already figured that out. Now we've got to figure out how to help you, and we're going to do it. So we figure out that, and we get them aligned to the services that they need. And it might be anger management. It might be PTSD. It might be some traumatic brain injury stuff. I don't know. It's different for everyone. It might be a mix. There might be all of those. It really just depends on what they bring in when they come in. So, but this isn't a scenario where there's judgment, and they may not know that coming in, but we let them know that real quick. And I think they see it real quick because we're just trying to figure out, okay, if this is your problem, then these are the things that could possibly be the solution. And they get some of the decision-making power right out of the gate. Say, okay, these are the things that we can align you with to help you. What do you think? Which ones are you most open to, type deal? And if we align them to a service that doesn't work, that they chose, then we'll move them over to something that we choose. Right. But at the end of the day, you're going to get what you need, and you're definitely going to get what you signed up for. Sometimes that's a little bit rocky. Sometimes it's smooth, and it's, you never know. You never know which way it's going to go. But yeah, we have art therapy. We have programs where they can learn how to, do music therapy, learn how to play the guitar, actually write a song with a songwriter out of Nashville through a program that was stood up by Vince Gill and Amy Grant, totally free to them. They get a free guitar. They get, these lessons. They get paired with a music therapist, all these things. And that's just one program. There's so many other programs that do painting or, yoga. We haven't really jumped into those yet, but we're looking at them right now. But one of the things that I guess the behavioral health side of these things is always talking about meeting people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
One of those trendy terms, but
Yes.
you have to do that. You have to figure out, because sometimes the regular treatment plan doesn't reach everyone. So you got to have, a different avenue for some. And for some, those different avenues will work. And for some, the traditional avenues will work. We have to mix those together sometimes as well. So we'll figure it out over the course of this year, because it's just rapid fire, man. We're just going to keep attacking until we find out what the actual problem is, and then overwhelm it with superior fire.
Yeah.
Simple process, right?
it's a simple process, just overwhelming. And I hear you talking about these psychological terms. I'm like, how did they turn a master gunner sergeant for the Marine Corps to a huggy teddy bear?
No, man, they hadn't got me yet. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. I won't do that.
And I gotta give, I would be remiss if I didn't give, Chris Allen some love on this, one of the mentor coordinators. I remember when I mentioned to her that this was a possibility in this county. She's been, she's totally taken the bull by the horns. She has been all over this, and she mixes it from compassion to tough love. Now, mind you, Miss Chris Allen is height deficient.
Chris Wall.
Chris Wall.
Yeah.
She is height deficient. She is not very, very tall, and so but it's been interesting watching her having to talk to some vets that need some correcting, and looking up at them and them. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's been part of this, and I want to give her love on this show.
She's a little bulldog.
What is the greatest need that that you need? What is the thing you most require from the community?
People would probably think funding, right?
Money.
That's not it. Our funding is taken care of. We're good to go on funding. As long as we're able to maintain the grant, we'll be fine. I think it's probably just people knowing that we exist. There's a lot of people that don't, and we tried to figure out early on. When I say we, I mean me. Figure out what is.
Well, you got a lot of hats. You're a team leader and the team. So.
I was a team of one for a year and a half, man. But it's trying to figure out how to best advertise our program. So it didn't take me long to say, okay, well, I was a recruiter in the Marine Corps for 3 years, and I know what worked on recruiting duty. So I was like, okay, I just need to saturate the area with information, with our logo, with everything that we can. So I could have put up a billboard, which would have cost about $900 a month for one billboard, which is a ridiculous waste of money, in my opinion. So instead of that, we started creating T-shirts and coins and hats and things with our logo on it. So now we give those T-shirts out and those hats out, etc. And now I have walking billboards all around the county, probably for years to come, because they're good quality shirts. And who doesn't want a good free T-shirt? Everybody does. So you don't even have to run a marathon to get one.
Yeah, I have a few of those. I'm guilty as charged running around with the hat, and I let anybody who knows. Let anybody I can, and we'll sit there, and I remember you were set up on the county reporter, or the old county reporter, whatever they call it now, festival. You were set up there, and we were just pulling back. Hey, you're a vet, come on, and just trying to get participation. Folks, if you know a veteran that maybe want to help with this, be a mentor, that would be the greatest thing. Having mentors there is a life-changing thing for a veteran.
Absolutely.
And just telling people about this, because you just never know. That is the worst day of your life, when cuffs go on. And it's especially different when, you're someone who served this country, and that happens, and you think your world is over, and then there's an opportunity, or there's an opportunity that comes up in a veterans court, and
and not everybody gets in. We have denied way more than we brought into the program, probably around 3 to 1, maybe even higher.
I know the criteria sits with Lindy Beatty, but what have you seen so far as kind of the criteria?
Yeah, so our criteria is actually on our website, as is the veteran survey now.
It's scrolling.
Yep, that I need to plug that, because the survey that we have on the website, Man, we really need people to take that survey. And it's not just for veterans, it's for those that are around veterans or married to veterans or the parents of veterans or the siblings of veterans. It's for everybody. Yeah, it's right there. We want them taking the survey more so than the veterans, because the veterans oftentimes aren't going to ask for help. We're just stubborn like that, right? So we
Right.
don't want to ask anybody for help.
Never been accused of that. You know,
Yeah, sure,
so never
sure.
been accused of that. But
But our loved ones will tell you what the problems are, and this is what my veteran really needs. So we're trying to align veterans to specific services here in Ellis County, but we need people to take that survey so that we really know. You know, when I go to the VA, big VA, and say, "Hey, this is what we need in Ellis County," you know, I have some stats to back it up.
yeah, it's there. Guys, you could go right in, and I've been scrolling that site on the bottom. Make sure you check that out and do that survey. Anything that can help this court, you know, I'm asking you, you know, as part of your community to help out any way you can, because this is changing lives. When they're done with the and I failed to discuss that, when they're done with the program, what happens to their record?
It's expunged. So it takes about 90 days. We just learned that not too long ago. So it's not immediate. It takes about 90 days for it to get through the cycle at the state level, but that record is expunged. You know, it goes away. It's completely erased from their record. They never have to talk about that again. It's gone, and it opens up so many doors, man. It's huge to be able to just erase that and get a fresh start. And if anybody deserves a fresh start, it's somebody that volunteered to take and put their life on the line for all of us across, you know, the nation, not just Waxahachie where we're located, not just Ellis County, not just Texas, for everyone. There's so many other things they could have done, but that's what they volunteered to do. So yeah, I have a hard time when people want to talk about somebody not deserving this opportunity. And it's usually just from a standpoint of them not knowing. It's just ignorance. When you educate them and tell them how it works and why it works, etc., then they kind of come on board at that point.
Up until the point of death is what we signed up for.
Right. Yeah.
And it's you know, it doesn't. I mean, once we sign our DD 214, we go into this community, and a lot of us are doing big things and trying to help. But that's the whole thing. I've had veterans on the show, so many veterans that come out, and we don't sit on our duff. Many of us are trying to participate either in the political process, in helping others. Helping others seems to be the theme. You know,
service before self.
Service before self, always. It's great to have you on, and I do appreciate you coming on and talking to Carl. Where can people go see you if they want to talk to you?
So you can come to the historic courthouse. We've moved into the basement floor of the historic courthouse, and we have all the, you know, signage out in the bottom that points you to where we are. But just come in there. It's a big circle. If you're lost in there for more than 5 minutes, you should probably just leave. Because it's a circle. Like, you can check every door in there in a couple minutes, but you'll see our area. It's highly decorated, as you would expect, with the flags outside of our office and all of that. And we'd love to talk to you. Anybody that comes with questions, you can call us. As you saw when you brought up the website, you know, our information's on there. You can call us, email us, stop by, come by and get you a T-shirt and a hat, man. I'd love to have everybody advertising for me.
Definitely. And Master Guns, is always good to talk to you. My brother, my arms, Master Guns. Don't mess with the man, the myth, the legend. Thanks a lot again for coming on. And can you stick around after the show real quick?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.